Hello, my name is Sasha, and this is my best buddy, Irie, and I'm here to talk to you a little bit about my story. So, up until April of this year, I was a healthy 35-year-old. I love my Tough Mudders. I have a room full of trophies downstairs, ran the Medtronic 10 mile, ate healthy, exercised 5 days a week, had a personal trainer, top of my career, doing just amazing. A girlfriend of mine decided to take a trip for my birthday, so we went to France and did a big tour of Normandy, Brittany, and Loire Valley. We caught E. coli in Brittany, and we got home and did the Z-Pack. She got better, and I didn't. By April, we got back on March 27th. By April, I saw blood in my stool, so I became very concerned. I, read the warning signs and immediately called my primary health care provider, at which point they told me to come to the emergency room, which Sherry and I went to the emergency room. They ran all the panels for parasites, bacterial infections, etc., etc. Couldn't find a diagnosis. Sent me home with a stool sample kit that was sent over to the lab, and again, nothing. And I just kept getting worse, started having stomach pains. The next specialist was the GI doctor, and he couldn't figure out what was wrong with me. He looked me up and down, and I was losing weight, and I have tattoos. When he examined my stomach and gave me a stern look, and he said, "Well, you have all the symptoms of a chronic pot smoker." Ironically, never smoked pot a day in my life. Tried it once when I was 16 and threw up. Wasn't a drug user. I was just sick. He told me just to stop eating. After 2 weeks of not eating, he put me through a semi-endoscopy, which then found nothing. At this point, I'm down 15 pounds, and the pain is so debilitating, I couldn't let this guy out of the house. I had to call the neighbor so she could come over and take him for walks. He did do me a favor. He referred me to a surgeon. The surgeon was very surprised when we sat down, and he said, "I never see folks without a diagnosis." So he sent me in for an x-ray. I left the hospital, and he thought it was diverticulitis, and probably acute diverticulitis caused by the E. coli that I caught in France. I was told to immediately turn around my car and return to the hospital because they found a large abscess in my colon. So they put a drainage tube into my butt cheek and gave me antibiotics and sent me home 4 days later. 2 weeks after that, the tube came out, and I got worse. I started having debilitating pain, and my follow-up wasn't until the following Tuesday, and it was coming up on the weekend, and the pain was so debilitating. I couldn't function, I couldn't sleep, I couldn't eat. It was just a wall of pain. They admitted me once again and started me in multiple rounds of antibiotics, which I had mixed reactions to. I was screaming so loud at night that they gave me lorazepam, which made me hallucinate. And there was spiders crawling under my skin, and I ripped out all my IVs and kept screaming. The infectious disease doctor a week later said that I needed emergency surgery and that we weren't dealing with infection, but her diagnosis fell on deaf ears. At this point, I had a team of doctors and no diagnosis. I kept getting worse. A week later, I had a full blockage of the colon, and they finally did schedule me for colon surgery. They lost me on the operating table. My colon burst, and it's by the grace of God and my skilled surgeon that I'm still here, because nobody else outside of him could have saved my life. My colon split the entire length, and the blood and shit and poison and infection flooded my bloodstream, which made me flatline multiple times. When I woke up from the surgery, I was sporting a colostomy bag and multiple drainage tubes. I was missing 21 centimeters of my colon, and what I would later find out that they removed 2 tumors. Exactly a week later, my surgeon woke me up to tell me that the tumors were in fact cancer. What made matters worse, because the tumors were cancer, and they put a drainage tube into the tumor, which caused them to burst. So at this point, for a period of a month, cancer was circulating through my entire body, meaning that my stage 3B, so 1 lymph node involvement, was now spread to the peritoneum, and what I would later find out, my uterine wall. He was extremely concerned because I'm so young, and he didn't want me to die, and that was going to be my outcome in what he told me 2 years worth of time. He then referred me to a specialist over at the U of M who specializes in HIPEC, if you're not familiar with the surgery. So this is hypertonic chemo, where they open you up and they pour hot chemo into your abdominal cavity, and that penetrates through the peritoneum, because once the cancer is in your peritoneum, you can't typically get it out with regular chemotherapy, and your chance of recurrence within those 2 years becomes 100%. The doctor gave me probably the worst news of my life. He told me that I was facing a full hysterectomy on top of the HIPEC surgery, and that was the hardest pill to swallow, because maybe I waited too long. I was so focused on my career that I always thought family would come later, that one day I would read, the great American novel to my son or daughter, and now the reality that the chance of having children was being taken away from me was unbearable. It hit me worse than the diagnosis. I just sat there and I tried to keep my composure, and I just cried. No words came out. I knew the dangers of the HIPEC surgery, but I held out hope that all through that I would be able to maintain some sort of normalcy. And again, if you're not familiar with the procedure, 11% don't make it off the operating table, according to the latest statistics done by Mount Sinai in conjunction with the University of Toronto. And furthermore, another 25 to 56% don't make it past the 60 days. For sigmoid colon adenocarcinoma, which is what I have, my chances of survival post 5 years were 38%. But hey, much better than those 2 years that the surgeon was telling me after my surgery. My dog here, so his name is Irie. He's just been amazing through this whole journey. I just completed round 8 of chemo. I'm looking forward to the high-tech surgery. But today we went to the vet, and he's got a little bit of a hard spot on his butt, so I was a little bit worried, and the vet walked in the room after doing a biopsy and said that Irie too had colon cancer, and we were the same stage, but mine was caught back this spring, and his obviously wasn't. He didn't go to France and get E. coli, so my little buddy is going to die probably before me, way before me. So he's got days to weeks, so the goal is to just keep him comfortable. The tumor goes the entire length of his colon, and it's protruding out of his rectum, and it's inoperable. So what do you think the odds are of both of us having the same cancer at the same time with the same stage? He eats dog food. I don't feed him off the table. I eat human food. What do we have in common? What was the one thing that we did together? Water. We both drank tap water. In 2005, I moved to the city of Oakdale. Irie came into my life just a little while later, so he is now 10 years old, so he's been with me for the last 7. And we were drinking Oakdale water that was contaminated by 3M. You see, 3M buried barrels of chemicals in their in Lake Elmo, which contaminated both the Lake Elmo and the Oakdale water supply. The levels, according to the EPA, that are safe to drink are 1 part per billion. We were drinking 23,700 parts per billion, me for 12 years, and my best friend here for 7, and now we are both very sick. He's not going to make it, and I plan to be one of those 3, so I can share our story and tell other people to get screened, to stop drinking the water. Even though 3M claims that they clean the water, why are we so sick? Why are we so sick now?
Isn't it true that 2 other people in your community, basically on your block, got colon cancer and passed away from colon cancer? So that's 3 people and a dog. That's 4 basically on 1 block.
Yes.
Is there anything you'd like to say to the shareholders of 3M?
Help us. Save us. Do advocate for early screening. Don't let us die.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.